to the countdown.
Tahniah. Siaran langsung ini dibawakan khas kepada anda oleh Akademi YouTuber Malaysia. Sebuah inisiatif e-didik Malaysia dan Kelab Guru Malaysia. Tumpukan perhatian anda. Siaran langsung akan bermula sebentar lagi. Link sijil akan diberikan di hujung siaran ini. Pastikan diisi dalam tempoh yang ditetapkan. Terima kasih.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh dan selamat sejahtera. Hai semua guru, ibu bapa yang dihormati dan para pelajar yang madam kasihi sekalian. Selamat datang ke Pusat Tuisyen Akademi YouTuber AYU, usaha sama e-didik Malaysia dan Kelab Guru Malaysia. Bermula percuma, selamanya percuma. Untuk mendapatkan keberkatan kelas kita pada malam ini, mari kita sama-sama mulakan kelas dengan membaca umum kitab Al-Fatihah. Okey, apa khabar para pelajar yang madam kasihi semua? Harap semuanya berada dalam keadaan yang baik dan bersedia untuk meneruskan kelas kita pada malam ini. Madam percaya pelajar-pelajar dah tidak sabar untuk mengikuti kelas kita kali ini. Okey, pertama sekali saya perkenalkan diri dahulu. Nama saya Puan Asmazatul Yusfiziati binti Muhammad Yusof dari Kolej Matrikulasi Negeri Sembilan selaku moderator pada malam ini. So hari ini kita ada kelas tuisyen Perakaunan Matrikulasi kali ke-7. So pada malam ini kita bersiaran langsung dari channel Cikgu Yati. Sesiapa yang belum subscribe, silalah tekan butang subscribe sebagai tanda sokongan. Untuk makluman pelajar semua, nama penuh beliau adalah Cikgu Nur Hayati binti Ismail dari Kolej Matrikulasi Negeri Sembilan. Beliau mempunyai pengalaman yang luas dalam mengajar selama 26 tahun. Tajuk yang akan disampaikan oleh Cikgu Yati pada malam ini ialah Topic 2, Manufacturing Cost, Concept and Components. Pelajar dan para penonton lain dialu-alukan untuk mempelajari topik berkenaan. Kelas kita ini akan berlangsung lebih kurang 1 jam. Bersama madam di studio pada malam ini ialah Cikgu Nur Faizah, Cikgu Nur Faizah Ahmad sebagai control host. Beliau adalah guru biologi dari Kolej Matrikulasi Negeri Sembilan. Okey, dan seterusnya ialah Cikgu Fathiah Mansur sebagai pemerhati, juga seorang guru biologi dari Pusat Tingkatan 6 SMK Seri Serdang, Selangor. Okey, sebelum kita mulakan kelas kita, suka madam ingatkan semua pelajar dan penonton yang ingin menghantar komen agar menggunakan bahasa yang sopan dan gambar profil yang bersesuaian untuk tuntunan umum. Sila on kamera dan mikrofon siap-siap jika anda terpilih untuk naik ke ruang studio ini untuk bersama dengan Cikgu Yati. Okey, sila fokus pada isi pelajaran yang akan disampaikan dan hanya menggunakan ruang chat untuk menjawab soalan atau jika ada soalan yang hendak diajukan. Pada akhir siaran ini, link e-sijil akan diberikan dan anda hanya ada 30 minit sahaja untuk mengisi maklumat. Sila pastikan anda hanya menggunakan email e-didik sahaja. So, madam percaya semua yang hadir kelas pada malam ini merupakan pelajar-pelajar cemerlang dan mari kita tunjukkan disiplin yang terbaik. Oleh itu, madam berharap agar semua memberi sepenuh tumpuan semasa kelas ini bersiaran. So, tanpa berlengah lagi, madam serahkan kelas kita kepada Cikgu Yati. Okey, dipersilakan.
Okay. Okay, thank you, Madam Fizi, as a moderator for today's program. And also thank you to Cikgu Faizah as a host controller and Cikgu Fathiah as observer tonight. So I just want to introduce myself. my biodata, Norhaiti binti Ismail, and I'm teaching in College Matrikulasi Negeri Sembilan. Teaching experience is about 26 years, where 15 years in the school and another 11 years in the matriculation. So you can visit my channel, Cikgu Yati channel. So next, my teammate, Madam Asma Zatul Yusfiziati binti Muhammad Yusof from College Matrikulasi Negeri Sembilan, and her teaching experience is 17 years, and you can visit her channel, Madam Fizi channel. And next is our team, biology team. So we are the collaboration of pre-university from matriculation and STPM. So this is the team biology. The members are Cikgu Faiza, Cikgu Fatia, and Cikgu Naini. So the leader is Cikgu Fatia. No, Cikgu Faiza. The next one from mathematics team, the members are Teacher Aileen, Teacher Im, and Cikgu Zana. So the leader is Teacher Im. The next one from chemistry, and the members are Cikgu Shahnon, Cikgu Vivi Lau, Cikgu Mawar, and Teacher Tang. And the leader is Cikgu Shahnon. So today I just want to discuss about topic 2. Oh, don't forget to visit the portal www.academy.youtuber. So now we want to discuss about topic 2, manufacturing cost, concept, and the component. Then this is the learning objective. The importance of cost information, difference between cost and expenses, cost classification, manufacturing cost, non-manufacturing cost, and next, direct cost, indirect cost, product cost, period cost, and statement cost of goods manufactured and income statement. So for this topic, the student must really understand, because this is the basic topic for all of you to continue with the next topic, because from this topic you must understand the terms, the definition, the concept, the component, and also cost classification. So hopefully you really understand this topic very well before you go to the next topic. So that one, the first one, the importance of cost information. Cost information is very important to the manager, because they want to make this function. Number one, planning. So the manager will set the objective to plan their strategy of the company. Number two, the manager also control the business. They want to evaluate the performance of the business by comparing the actual and the budgeted costs. And the last one, the manager also want to make decision. They need cost information because they want to choose the best alternative for the decision making by minimum the cost and maximum the profit. Next. Okay, you must know the difference between cost and expenses. So, what is the definition of cost? So, an asset or resources that is sacrificed in order to obtain another asset, or services which will benefit in the future. So the keyword, you have to sacrifice one asset to get another asset for the benefit in the future. For example, we have to spend our cash in order to purchase the machinery for the benefit in the future. But for expenses, it is quite different. We have to sacrifice our asset in order to get the revenue. For example, we have to pay cash for salaries, employee salaries, in order to get revenue in the current period. So there is the difference, yeah? The cost and expenses. The next one, we want to see, okay, next, cost classification. There are three methods for cost classification. Depends on the company, which one they want to use. Whether they want to use for the function of classification, behavior, or assignment. So let's say that the first one, function, it will explain the function of each cost, and it will focus to manufacturing cost and non-manufacturing cost. So they want to see the function for each cost. And for behavior, the company will want to see the situation or the behavior of cost, where cost can be changed if there is a change in output or activities. And another one, assignment. Another word is like tracing or allocation. This classification they want to use because they want to calculate costs that can be traced for the object. So our object is finished product. So it depends on the company which category they want to use. So next, we want to see the difference between manufacturing cost and non-manufacturing cost. So you can see that manufacturing cost, there are three components. Number one, direct material. Number two, direct labor. Number three, manufacturing overhead. And for non-manufacturing costs, there are two components, selling expenses and admin expenses. So now we can see the definition of direct material. Okay, next. Okay, this one, the manufacturing cost, there are three components, direct material, direct labor, and manufacturing overhead. So we look at the first one, direct material. Okay, the direct material here is wood, and then the wood will be processed, will convert into the finished good and become a table. Now you see the direct material. Direct material is raw material that can be physically and directly associated with finished product during manufacturing process. So that one we call direct material, or raw material cost that can be traced to the finished product. So that one is the definition of direct material. So example, a furniture manufacturer, wood is used to produce a table. So the table is the finished product. So next one, we look at the meaning of indirect material. So you can see there is a difference between direct material and indirect material. So this is the characteristic of indirect material, not physically part of finished product, and they are impractical to trace to the finished product because they are using in a small quantity. For example, for a furniture manufacturer, glue will be used in small quantity for each table. So indirect material for this product is glue. So indirect material considered as manufacturing overhead. Now we go to the next one, direct labor. So for the direct labor can be physically or directly associated with converting raw materials into finished good. For example, assembly line wages. Indirect labor is different from direct labor. Work of factory employees that has no physical association with finished product. Okay, that one you can see the example so they cannot trace to the finished product. Example, factory supervisor's salary, factory janitor's salary, and maintenance employee. Okay, next we look at the third component, that is manufacturing overhead. So costs that are indirectly associated with manufacturing the finished product. And it includes all manufacturing costs except direct materials and direct labor. So whatever expenses incurred in the manufacturing, that one we call manufacturing overhead. And sometimes we call indirect manufacturing costs. So next, we look at the next one, selling expenses and administrative expenses. This one we categorize as non-manufacturing costs. Selling expenses is another building. That one is selling department, and administration expenses is another department. That one we call office department. So look at the selling expenses. Cost to market finished product. For example, advertising, sales commission, and depreciation of sales equipment. And another one, office expenses or administrative expenses, cost of the organization that cannot be assigned to either production or selling. So this is the example for director's salary. That one example for administrative expenses. Another one, depreciation of office equipment. And sometimes there is rent for the office building. Okay, next. Okay, now we go on to the next part. Okay, pop quiz. So we look at the question number 1, pop quiz 1. List below are examples of direct materials except. Okay, except that means you have to give which one is not direct material. A, steels, B, cotton, C, woods, and D, toys. So, the answer from Nadia, D. Alright. From Divya Prakash, D. From Izdihar, D. Shazwan Afiq, D. Nur Arif. The answer is D. Okay. That is the correct answer. So very good. Congratulations to all of you. Give the answer D. Very good. That is the correct answer. Now, the next question, pop quiz 2. List below are examples of direct labor except. Except that means you have to choose which one is not direct labor. A, carpenter. Carpenter, the person who cut the wood to convert into finished good. Tailor, I think you know what is the meaning. Tailor. Factory janitors. Janitors is the person who hold the keys of the building or who take care of the building. And the last one, assembly line wages. So what is the answer? So based on Adawiyah, Nasir, give the answer C. Zulaika, Aisyah C. And Fateh Najwa C. Shazwan, Afiq C. Ahmad Haziq C. Karim Zaidan C. Wow, most of you give the correct answer. Very good. Congratulations to all of you that give, I think more than 10%, more than 10 students give the correct answer. C. Very good. So you are really understand what is the concept of direct labor. Very good. Now we go to the next question. Pop quiz 3. Okay, list below are examples of manufacturing overhead except A, factory taxes. Tax, yeah, that one tax we have to pay for the factory. B, indirect material. C, indirect labor. D, sales commission. So you must choose which one is not manufacturing overhead. So based on the answer from the student, Izdihar, give the answer D. Karim Zaidan, D. Aidillah Shakira, D. Ahmad Aziz, D. Jiantin Loh, give the answer D. Ahmad Aziz, D. Divya Prakash, D. Shazwan Afiq, D. Nurizwan Nisman, D. Muzakir, D. Khaira, D. Okay, I think I have read. Nur Eliana, D. I think Shazwan Afiq ni. Shazwan Afiq, D. Okay, most of you give the correct answer. Yes, the answer is D. So, and the last one, Haziq Bashir. So most of you really understand the component of manufacturing cost. There is direct material, direct labor, and manufacturing overhead. Very good. And you also understand what is the non-manufacturing cost. That is direct, the expenses selling, that one is non-manufacturing cost. Selling expenses and admin expenses. Okay, now we go on to the next one. The next part, cost classification. So this one we focus on cost behavior. Okay, just now we focus on its function. Now we focus on its behavior, cost behavior. So there are three types of cost behavior. Number one, variable cost. Number two, fixed cost. And number three, mixed cost. Number one, variable cost. What is the definition of variable cost? A cost that varies, that means change in direct proportion to the changes in the level of activities. So that means when the level of activities or the level of product increase, the direct labor and direct material increase. So I give you one example. When you want to make chicken chop, 10 set of chicken chop, you need one chicken. So when you want to produce 20 set of chicken chop, so that means you need 2 chicken to produce chicken chop. That one we call variable cost. The cost will change based on the level of activities. And another one, fixed cost. Okay, for fixed cost, a cost that remain constant regardless of the changes in the level of activities. So whether you want to produce the product, for example, you want to produce 10 set of chicken chop, you still have to pay the rent of the manufacturing. Or whether you want to produce 100 chicken chop, you still have to pay the fixed amount of rent of the building. So that one we call fixed cost. The cost remain constant even though the level of activities increase or decrease. And the next one, mixed cost. Okay, mixed cost contain both variable and fixed cost element. So the example, electricity fixed for the monthly payment. You know, the electricity, we have to pay the monthly payment for the wiring and for the line. But the cost, variable cost will change. Depends on the usage of the electricity. So that one we call mixed cost. They contain fixed cost and variable cost. Okay, this one is the cost classification based on cost behavior, and you will learn more detail about cost behavior for next chapter, chapter 3. So now we go on to the next one. direct cost and indirect cost. Some of the students, they cannot memorize what is the definition of direct cost and indirect cost. So we look at the different or direct cost versus indirect cost. Okay, now we look at what is the difference. Okay, you can see this one. This one, cost classification based on assignment. Assignment, that means tracing. Or in other words, you want to allocate the cost to the cost object. So that means we want to calculate the cost. We want to measure the cost based on the object. So our object here is product, finished good or finished product. Finished good. Okay, you look at the number one, direct cost. What is the meaning of direct cost? Cost that can be traced to a cost object. For example, direct material and direct labor. So I give you an example just now. When you want to produce the chicken chop, one set chicken chop. So you can see that chicken chop, you have a chicken in that menu. And there is someone will cook for the chicken chop. That one we can see, we can trace the cost to the chicken chop. That one we call can be traced, can be assigned or can be allocated. The cost, we can measure the cost based on direct material use and the direct labor cost. We have to pay for the salaries of the direct labor, and we can estimate the cost of chicken. Okay, now we go on to the indirect cost. We look at this one, cost that cannot be traced to a cost object. Example, for manufacturing, there are two. One for manufacturing overhead and another one is for non-manufacturing cost. So indirect cost include the components are manufacturing overhead and non-manufacturing overhead. Non-manufacturing overhead mean period cost. So period cost mean that one is selling expenses and admin expenses. Okay. The next one. Okay, you can see the difference between cost, okay, prime cost and conversion cost. Actually, the conversion, CONVRSION, conversion cost. So what is the difference between prime cost and conversion cost? In other words, prime cost contain different component from conversion cost. So we look at the component of prime cost. So what is the definition of prime cost? Okay, this one is the definition of prime cost. The combination of direct costs are direct materials and direct labor. So the components are direct material and direct labor. And another one, the direct costs are the primary costs. That means we can assign, we can trace. That one is the primary cost of the finished product. And conversion cost, the combination of direct labor with manufacturing overhead. So these are the costs that convert the direct materials into the finished product. So it is very easy for you to memorize what is the component of prime cost and what is the component of conversion cost. So the prime cost, the components are direct materials and direct labor. We can assign or we can trace the cost in the cost object. And whereas conversion costs are The components are direct labor and manufacturing overhead. It will convert the direct materials into the finished product. For example, chicken or woods. Just now, wood, I give you the example. The raw material is wood. Wood can be converted into the finished product, become a piece of table. So that one we call conversion cost, that convert direct material into the finished product. Okay, the next one. Okay. This is the diagram show the flow of manufacturing cost element. The first one, we look at manufacturing cost. Other name are product cost, or sometimes we call inventoriable cost. So manufacturing cost consists of three components. Number one, direct material. Number two, direct labor. Number three, manufacturing overhead. Okay. And from that table, you can see prime cost consists of direct material and direct labor. That one we call primary cost, that we want to convert raw material into the finished good. And other one, conversion cost, it will consist of direct labor and manufacturing overhead. Okay, that one is the cost that convert materials into the finished product. Do we have to break? Okay.
Okey, kita berehat sebentar dengan iklan.
Alah, apa ni? PKPB lagi. SPM pula ditangguhkan. Jenuhlah nak bayar yuran tuition. Pernah dengar tentang tuition percuma? Kami di Akademi YouTuber menyediakan tuition online secara percuma kepada anda semua. Ada prasekolah, sekolah rendah, sekolah menengah, STPM, juga untuk matrikulasi. Percuma je. Jom layari laman sesawang www.academyyoutuber.com.
Okay.
Okey,
Thank
kita
you.
sambung balik. Okey,
Alright.
teruskan.
Okay, thank you, Madam Fizi. Now we continue with the manufacturing cost elements. Just now I just mentioned manufacturing cost, another word, another terms we call product cost or inventoriable cost. Okay, now we look at the difference between period cost and product cost. So there is the difference, period cost and product cost. Okay, what is the meaning? What is the definition of product cost? So I just told you just now, product cost is the same with manufacturing cost. Okay, look at the definition or the component now. Okay, this is product cost. Include all the costs that are involved in manufacturing product. So another terms we use manufacturing costs. So the components are direct materials, direct labor, and manufacturing overhead. And another one, period cost, are expenses on the income statement in the period in which they are incurred. Or if you want to memorize, period cost are the component are selling expenses and administrative expenses. So they want all the expenses that incurred in the selling department, and also all the expenses incurred in the administrative department. So for the example, marketing, advertising, commission customer service, depreciation office, and another one, depreciation of the printer in the office. Okay, that one is the different. So very easy for you to memorize. Product cost, the component are the manufacturing cost, and period cost, the component are non-manufacturing costs. Okay, now we look at the next one. Okay, this is the diagram show the difference between product cost and period cost. So the definition for product cost, inventoriable cost and involved in manufacturing finished product. So when you want to prepare the statement of cost of goods manufactured, you must record these three components: direct material, direct labor, and manufacturing overhead. Okay, this one, period cost, not or non-inventoriable cost and not involved in manufacturing finished product. So for example, selling expenses, administrative expenses. The example are we have to pay the director's salaries, depreciation of equipment in the office, rent of the office building. Okay, that one is the different. Very easy for you to memorize. Okay, the next one. Okay, you can see the component. I simplified for you. Direct material, direct labor, manufacturing overhead. And you must remember, manufacturing overhead for indirect material and indirect labor are in the manufacturing overhead. Okay. And for period cost, non-manufacturing, it means that these costs or these expenses not incurred in the manufacturing process or in the factory. But this one we have to measure the expenses incurred in the selling department and administrative department. Okay. Next, we look at the summary. Okay, you can see this one, so many terms or so many cost classification that you must remember. The first one, you must know the terms manufacturing costs. There are three components. Number two, you must know the terms non-manufacturing costs. There are two components: selling expenses, admin expenses. Then you must know the classification of direct costs. There are two components: direct material and direct labor. Next, you must know the component of indirect costs. There are three components in direct costs. The first one, manufacturing overhead, selling expenses, and administrative expenses. And the last one, manufacturing costs known as product cost and non-manufacturing costs known as period costs. So you must may remember this summary. Okay, the next one, we look at the, okay, this is the example. When, okay, this one is very important because you have to prepare this question in terms of assignment. So you must know the component, and when you are given the list, you must identify the component, which component, and then you have to prepare the cost classification. You have to calculate cost classification. So number one, this is the list, okay? There are a few lists. So number one, the first step, you must identify the component. Number one, factory equipment rent. So the keyword factory, that one is manufacturing overhead. Number two, factory building insurance. So the keyword factory. So that one you have to record under manufacturing overhead. Next, raw material. Raw material we have to record under direct material. Factory utilities we have to record under manufacturing overhead. Office supplies expenses. So the keyword office. So it represents the selling and administrative expenses. Assembly line wages 70,000. This one represent for direct labor. Depreciation on office equipment. So this one represent for office equipment. So we have to record under sales and administrative expenses. Another one, indirect material, we have to record under manufacturing overhead. Factory property tax, factory supervisory salaries. This one we have to record under manufacturing overhead. Advertising expenses, we have to record under sales and admin expenses. Sales commission also we have to record under selling and admin expenses. And the last one, depreciation on factory building. So the keyword factory. So factory represent for manufacturing overhead. Okay, what should you do now? Next, we look at the question. You are required to calculate first one, manufacturing cost. Number two, so you must know manufacturing cost consists of three components: direct material, direct labor, and manufacturing overhead. Period cost, two components. Prime cost, two components. And conversion cost, also two components. Okay, now we look at the answer for number one, manufacturing cost. Okay, this is the answer number one. Manufacturing cost, there are three components in the list. Number one, direct material. So the items based on the question, you just write down raw materials, 200,000. Direct labor, so you just follow in the question, assembly line wages with the amount. And then we have to list all manufacturing overhead. So these expenses include factory equipment rent, factory building insurance, factory utilities, indirect material, factory property tax. So you can look at the answer here. The keyword for manufacturing overheads are factory. So you can see that one is the keyword. So you should know that when you see this word, it means that that one is under manufacturing overhead. So factory property tax, factory supervisory salaries, and depreciation on factory building. So the total for these three components we call manufacturing cost or product cost. So the total is 285,525. Okay, the next one, we have to calculate period cost. So based on the question given, there are four items that relate to selling expenses and administrative expenses. So, number one, office supplies expenses. Number two, depreciation on office equipment. Three, okay, this one, office equipment categorized as administrative expenses. Office supply and depreciation on office equipment, that one categorized as administrative expenses. And that one, another one, advertising and sales commission categorized under selling expenses. So these two components, selling expenses and admin expenses, you must record under period cost. So the total for period cost, or in other words, non-manufacturing cost, is 82,050. So the next one. Okay, prime cost. Okay, prime cost, the components are direct materials and direct labor. So very easy for you to memorize. Only two components. Prime. Prime, it means primary. Primary, that means we can see the major cost for object cost. Okay, that one you can trace the cost for the finished product. So number one, direct material. So the item you should write down raw materials and direct labor, assembly line wages. Okay, now we go on to the conversion cost. Okay, conversion cost, there are two components. Number one, direct labor, and number two, manufacturing overhead. So you can see there are 7 items under manufacturing overhead. So you just add together direct labor with manufacturing overhead, then you get the answer for conversion cost. So you must remember that conversion cost consists of direct labor and manufacturing overhead. Okay, next one. Okay, now we go on the pop quiz. Okay, now we want to finish already. So we want to ask you the question. So this one pop quiz, you are given the list, raw materials. So what is the first step? First step, you must identify the item, whether they are direct material. Number two, direct labor. Number three, manufacturing overhead. Number four, selling expenses. And number five, administrative expenses. Okay, number one, raw material. You are given raw material, indirect material, assembly line wages, factory supervisor's salary, administrative salaries, sales, delivery expenses, factory janitors salaries. So janitors is the person take who in charge for holding the keys or taking care of a building. And the last one, advertising. So the question are calculate prime cost. So can you give me the answer? Which one is prime cost? Based on the question, you must identify prime cost. That means it consists of direct material and direct labor. So you must calculate, you must find out which one is direct material and which one is direct labor. So you have to give either the answer A, 74,000, B, 60,000, C, 86,000. So any of you, any student want to give the answer, can you choose the correct one? So I think I give you about 1 minute to calculate the answer. So I just give you the clue. Prime cost consists of direct materials and direct labor. Okay, any student, you want to give the answer? So far, nobody want to give the answer? Or you still calculate the answer? Hmm. So far, nobody want to give the answer. Okay, Rina, the answer is B. Okay, any of you want to give other answer beside Rina? Okay, maybe you have to think first and then you have to find out. Divya, give the answer B. And then you have to identify which component relate to direct material and direct labor. So only two students give the answer. Actually, it is very easy for you to calculate because there are only one direct material. Okay, no Rizwan, Miss Man, give the answer B. And Taeyong, give the answer B. Muhammad Akid Zahirul Haq. B. Karim Zaidan. Give the answer B. And another one, any student, one give the answer. Siti Maisara, give the answer B. Okay, now look at the answer. I have calculated for you. So the answer is B. That is correct. So you can see how to calculate the prime cost. So congratulations to all the students give the answer. Okay, next page, we look at the answer. Okay, this is the answer. Direct material, you have to write down raw material and direct labor, assembly line wages. So you have to add all these two components, then you will get prime cost. Okay, the next one, the next quiz. Okay, this one. Okay, you have to identify conversion cost. So I give you the same list from question 4 just now, but you have to identify conversion cost. You must know that conversion cost include direct labor and manufacturing overhead. So from the question, you must identify which one is direct labor and which one are manufacturing overhead. Because from the question, I can see more than one, two manufacturing overhead. So I give you about 1 minute. And if you calculate the answer, you have calculated your answer, you can show your answer in the comment column. So I'm waiting for you. So I just help you. You can identify. Okay, Humaira, give the answer A, 81,000. Okay, Siti Maisara, give the answer A, 81,000. Shazwan Afiq, give the answer A. And another one, any of you want to give the answer? Divya Prakash. Yes, you also give the answer A. Any more? Isra Ishaq. Okay, Isra Ishaq. Also give the answer A. Taeyong Tiyong. Ya nama dia Taeyong Tiyong. Okay, also give the answer A. Yes, very good. Congratulations to all the students who give the correct answer. Yes, that is the correct answer. So that means all of you really understand what is the meaning of, what is the definition, what is the component, include conversion cost. Okay, you can see the answer for this one. So from the question, top quiz 5, the components are direct labor. That one, you have to write down assembly line wages, 35,000. And the second component, manufacturing overhead. So you have to write down indirect materials, 14,000. Factory supervisory salary, 12,000. Factory janitor's salary, 20,000. So you got the answer for conversion cost, RM 81,000. Marvelous to all of you that give the correct answer. Okay, we look at the next question. Okay, I think this one is maybe the last one. Okay, the question are, I still give you the same item. There are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 items. So you have to calculate period cost. So you must know that period cost consists of selling expenses and administration expenses. So you can identify which one is selling expenses and which one is administrative expenses. So I give you about 1 minute for you to calculate period cost. Okay, if you have calculated the period cost, can you show me your answer in the comment column? So anyone? Okay, Kina, give the answer B. 76,000. Haziq Bashir B. 76,000. Haris Reza 76,000. Any more? Farsha, give the answer 76,000. Shazwan Afiq B. 76,000. Ifah Najiha B. 76,000. And any more? Shazwan Afiq 76,000. Yes, the answer and the last one Muhammad Akid. Very good. The answer is correct. So congratulations to all of you that give the correct answer. So now we look at the answer for pop quiz 6. Administrative salaries 64,000. Sales delivery expenses 5,000. And advertising 7,000. So the period cost is 76,000. So congratulations to all of you that give the correct answer. And I think that's all. Finish already. Okay. Any question for this part? Or from the question? Okay, you have, kalau kita tengok from the previous example, I want to give you one question based on the previous tadi kan, the item. Can you calculate? Give you the indirect cost. So you must know the component. Indirect cost, they are manufacturing overhead and manufacturing overhead and period cost. Okay, I think that's all for today. So hopefully that you can understand the term, the concept and the components of manufacturing cost. That's all. Saya serahkan balik kepada moderator, Madam Fizi.
Okey, so terima kasih diucapkan kepada Cikgu Yati atas perkongsian ilmu yang sangat bermanfaat, mudah difahami dan sangat menarik. Alhamdulillah dah selesai kelas kita pada malam ini. Tahniah juga diucapkan kepada semua yang setia mengikuti kelas pada malam ini dari awal hinggalah ke saat ini. Sebelum kita tamatkan sesi siaran langsung hari ini, mohon tutup ruangan chat dan klik butang subscribe dan aktifkan ikon loceng supaya kamu tidak terlepas sesi kelas yang seterusnya. Sekiranya anda suka dengan apa yang dipelajari hari ini, sila klik like and share kepada rakan-rakan di media sosial anda untuk sebarkan ilmu dan beroleh kebaikan daripada perkongsian tersebut. Sila type done di ruangan komen sebelum link sijil akan diberikan sebagai tanda terima kasih daripada kami kerana kehebatan kamu menyertai kelas tuisyen percuma pada malam ini. Link sijil boleh didapatkan pada bahagian chat. Sila ambil perhatian, link tersebut akan tamat dalam tempoh setengah jam selepas live ini. Pastikan anda guna email e-didik sahaja ya. Okey, sekali lagi saya ucapkan terima kasih kepada Cikgu Yati atas kelas malam ini. Sebelum saya tamatkan kelas pada malam ini, dipersilakan ahli konti untuk memberikan sepatah dua kata. So, saya persilakan Cikgu Faizah terlebih dahulu.
Okay, terima kasih Madam Fizi. Alright, kepada Cikgu Yati, awesome. Okay, very interesting. I always remember about the chicken chop. Alright, so class, please subscribe channel Cikgu Yati for more videos from her. Okay? Bye. Thank you.
Okey, terima kasih Cikgu Faiza. Seterusnya saya persilakan Cikgu Fatiah untuk memberikan sepatah dua kata.
Terima kasih Madam Fizi. Tahniah kepada Cikgu Yati. Satu persembahan yang menarik dan clear. Saya tak pernah belajar akaun pun saya boleh belajar malam ni ya. Okey, tahniah, dan pada pelajar-pelajar semua jangan lupa subscribe channel Cikgu Yati ya. Terima kasih.
Okey, terima kasih Cikgu Fatiah ya. Semua minta awak subscribe ya channel Madam Cikgu Yati. Okey. So jangan lupa untuk dapatkan jadual tuition online terkini daripada portal www.academyyoutuber.com serta dapatkan info terkini. Bantu kami untuk sebarkan kelas tuition percuma ini kepada rakan-rakan dan guru-guru seluruh Malaysia. Semoga kita mendapat manfaat daripada kelas-kelas yang dijalankan. So ingat hashtag bermula percuma, selamanya percuma, insya-Allah. Okey, so terima kasih lagi sekali kepada semua. Sekali yang baik itu datangnya daripada Allah. Jika terdapat sebarang kekurangan dan kelemahan itu adalah daripada kami. Kelas tuition online percuma berakhir sudah. Di lain siaran kita berjumpa lagi, insya-Allah. So, Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Dan
berikutan pengumuman penutupan sekolah sehingga akhir persekolahan. Pengajaran dan pembelajaran secara home-based learning tetap diteruskan. Oleh itu, kami di Akademi YouTuber menyediakan tuition online percuma pertama di Malaysia dari prasekolah hinggalah ke sekolah menengah dengan kerjasama E-Didik Malaysia dan Kelab Guru Malaysia. Kenapa bayar jika anda boleh dapat percuma? Bermula percuma, selamanya akan percuma. Manfaatkan peluang yang ada. Jangan tunggu lagi, startilah sekarang. Untuk maklumat lanjut, layari www.academyyoutuber.com.
Dibawakan kepada anda oleh Akademi YouTuber.